Alrighty, another tough loss for Mizzou today. They lost to Florida by the score of 40-14. How's it going? I'm Tramel Raggs, and this is another Rock M Nation Facebook Live session. It's not really much to talk about. Kind of like last week, Missouri came out today, and they really need to come out and prove something. After the week they had last week when they lost to LSU 42-7, I really expected them to come out and win, and they were unable to do that today. They got outplayed once again. As far as the offense versus Florida's defense, I thought the defense played pretty well today. We saw a lot of good things. Saw Kel Garrett get his first NCAA start, which was very nice to see. I think that moving forward, that the defense that we saw today was great. I mean, other than the end, they gave us some big plays, but I think it was just because they were tired. But the offense has to be better. We saw some sparks from Marvin Sanders. Drew Lock was awful today, 2 pick sixes, and that really turned the game in. It really took us out of the game as far as being able to win. It competed at a high level. I thought that we saw some good things with Demaria Crockett. He did really well. Had over 100 yards today. Had 14 carries, 145, so that's good for him. Even Ish Witter had a pretty good day. He had 15 carries for 82 yards. So I mean, we were doing some things running the ball wise that looked pretty good. But I think that offensively, the pass game has been just terrible. I don't know. I don't want to just say blame it all on Drew Lock, but I mean, it seems like he just doesn't look good when he's going against Power 5 teams. And that's what we need him to be good if we're going to be able to compete in SEC. Like usual, guys, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and send those to me, and I'll try to answer them the best way I can. But just continuing on that, today Drew Lock went 4 of 18 for 39 yards and 2 picks, and the 2 picks were both returned for touchdowns. Like I said, he had an 18.2 pass rate, which is unacceptable in SEC play. Florida wasn't, I thought, going into this game that much better than us. And if you looked at the way our defense played against the offense for the first 3 quarters, we held them relatively in check. They weren't really able to break off a lot of big passes. I think if you just took the points that the defense gave up, I believe the score was 14-7. So through 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter, obviously the game got away from us. Florida, broke off some big plays and things like that. I think Alex, looking forward, I think it's gonna be tough for Mizzou to get into a bowl game. I thought that we had a really good chance to go out and at least play competitively and take some momentum from this game into Middle Tennessee. But looking forward now, Middle Tennessee isn't a given. Middle Tennessee is they're a pretty solid team. They have 4 or 5 wins. I'm not sure if they won today against Western Kentucky, but I know they were going in that game. They're 4-2, so they're either 5-2 or 4-3. But either way, they're a decent team that can give us some issues. And then after that, we still have to play South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, games that we have to win. And those teams are starting to look like they could be better than us. You see Vandy get a big win today against Georgia. I mean, those are the kind of things that can we have to be able to win those games, and I don't know if we can. We lost to Georgia, Vanderbilt won. And obviously you can't go by transitive property and stuff like that by saying, oh, they won, they beat them, so maybe we can because they beat us. But I think they went into Georgia, and I think that'd be tougher playing Georgia at home than Georgia coming to our place and beating us. So I think that's just kind of something to think about. But yeah, I think Drew Lock was just really just, I don't know. I've never really sold out on the whole Drew Lock hype. This summer I really thought that based on what they had let the media see, I thought Marvin Sanders looked like he was a better fit for this team. And I think when you say that, I think Drew Lock is the better quarterback, but Drew Lock needs a better system and a better team around him in order to be successful. And so I think that's really the biggest issue right now, is that we don't have that team. And based on the team that we do have, Sanders the best fit. But I mean, obviously, the coaches don't agree with that since they've been, starting Drew Lock and things like that. But I think, in my opinion, that with the team that we have, the cast that we have, the talent that we have, and the kind of offense that we're trying to run, Marvin Sanders needs to be the QB. Now, if they want to keep with Drew Lock, so they don't hurt his confidence or whatever, at least get Sanders in there more. Sanders needs to be getting more touches, more snaps. We need to let him run the real offense. I love him doing, the option plays and running the ball, and that's awesome. But he needs to be able to throw the ball. Let him throw the ball. He threw 2 good passes today. I know the other one was a jump ball, and our guy made a play on it, but still, that was a great play. And I think the throw to Jason Reese is another great pass, and you say, hey, he's wide open, but Drew Lock missed wide open guys all game. So I think you have to look at I don't know how you can continue to look at Sanders on the sideline when Mizzou continues to struggle against Power 5 opponents and not give him a chance. So I think today he probably should have came in the beginning of the 4th quarter, to be honest. Drew Lock just didn't have it today. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Drew Lock just didn't have it. It was a tough environment going into the swamp, and maybe after the 2 picks he was just mentally checked out. I thought after we scored that touchdown and made it 21-7, or 21-7, 20-7. Sorry, I thought maybe he would get it clicking and he would get it going, but he just didn't. He just didn't. He didn't have it today for whatever reason, and so I think Locke should have been taken out sooner for Xanders. Is definitely I mean I don't really know kind of what the issue is right now. I thought Javon Moore kind of turned the corner. It looked like he was having a really good season this year. I know he had the fumble against Georgia, but after that he rebounded against Delaware State, and we know that Delaware State isn't a good opponent. But since then he's been invisible. And I think that Javon Moore is very talented, but he's got to be able to stay engaged even when the team isn't doing well. I felt like the last 2 games I've been watching him, he's just going through the motions. Like he's like once they get hit in the mouth, we don't know where Jamon Moore is. It's easy to be the aggressive and making the big plays and they're rah rah cheerleader and leading the troops when things are going well. But when it's not going well, that's when you find out who the real leaders are. And I think that we're learning a lot about Jamon Moore. And I don't mean to attack his character, but at the same time, we're not seeing the same Jamon Moore that we saw against the Eastern Michigans and even Georgia, for the that game because it was a close game and against Delaware State. We're not seeing that same guy now that the team is struggling. And I think that's a big issue. Javon Moore leads that receiving core, and if he's going to be performing like that, then the other guy's going to take that example. I still would like to see us get Chris Black in there more. I'm not sure why he's in the doghouse, but it seems like he is. He's not getting any targets really. So moving forward, I definitely want to see him get more of that. But I think we have to find a way to get the offense going because it's stagnant right now. We're not doing anything, and that's just the way it seems like right now. Kevin, I'm not sure what's going on with Alex Ross. It just seems like they aren't happy with what they're seeing with him. And I mean, from what I saw, I didn't like what I saw either. He had the first carry, and I thought that there was room. He could have got 3 or 4 yards there, but it's a real uninspired carry. And I know that we were down when he got in, but if you are coming off an injury and you're trying to prove that you deserve to be playing, you got to hit the holes hard. I thought he didn't do that. I mean, the second play was just that got swallowed up from the beginning, so he didn't have anything. He really didn't have anything about really. Nothing really big, as far as that. Like he was gonna make a play on that play, but the first carry, I thought there were yards to be had, and he just didn't go get them. I would like to see moving forward. I think that, like I've said before, Crockett is the guy. That's just plain and simple. Crockett's the guy, and I know that some of his yards came against second string guys, but he's still the guy. He's the guy. He needs to be the man that's getting the carries from here on out. 14 carries, 145 yards. That's an excellent day. I don't care who you're playing. 10 yards a carry is 10 yards a carry. And we definitely need to see. We definitely need to see him, kind of just do better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's unacceptable for the run game to be as bad as it is. And I think that moving forward, we've seen Crockett show signs of life, show his ability to play at a high level of competition. And he's done some good things, but we continue to see them split carries with Ishwitter and things like that. And no slight on Ishwitter. Ishwitter played really well today. He had 15 carries, 82 yards. But moving forward, Crockett needs to be the guy. Crockett needs to get the majority of the carries, and then you sprinkle Ish in. I think Ish is very valuable to this team. His ability to block in the pass game, his abilities to make some things happen as far as passing, like when you get a little screen pass and stuff like that out of the backfield on third down. I think that'd be huge. But I think that the first and second down back needs to be Crockett. Crockett is the guy for right now. I think we saw a lot of good players get their first taste of experience, and I thought that a lot of guys showed up today. When you look at Ronell Perkins got his first start today, Cale Garrett got his first start today. I thought they both played really well. I think that moving Michael Shear to the outside, to the weak linebacker, really helps us as far as we know that he's a sure tackler. Now, not that we didn't know that about. We did. I guess we basically did. I'm trying to be nice, but we did know that the other guys weren't really sure tacklers. So moving him to the outside really helps, and then having Cale Garrett be in the middle is great because Cale Garrett is a pretty good tackler, and he's smart enough. I know he's a freshman, but he made some good plays today. And then allowing kind of Michael Shear to just roam and make plays, that's really huge for us. So he's kind of taking over that Kentrell Brothers role, and that's what we needed. We're missing Kentrell Brothers so much right now. And so to see Michael Shear be able to do that was really big for this team. I like to continue to see Cam Hilton make plays. I know he had that dropped pick. That was a great athletic play. I mean, it was one he's got to make, but I mean, it would have been an outstanding play if he would have made it. So it was I guess you can kind of give him a little bit of a pass on that one. But the defense, I was impressed with the defense. I know that you look at the scoreboard. If you didn't watch the game, you say 40 points. How's defense good? But you take away those 2 pick sixes, that's right there. That's 14 points. So it's down to 26. And then the fourth quarter they had the 2 big runs. But I mean that I was just tired. If you're on the Mizzou defense I know at one point in the third quarter that they had been on the field for over 70% of the game. So if you continue that, the defense they can't hold up against that. So I think that you can kind of throw away most of you can't throw it away, but you can kind of excuse the performance of the defense in the fourth quarter. But that's kind of just how I'm feeling. So if you guys want to go ahead and send in some more questions, I'll keep trying to answer those. Um, I think that one thing that I'm still really concerned about is we still haven't seen Charles Harris. And I know that Charles and everyone's been talking about, Michael Shear talked about it this week, that the whole read and react thing has been something new for this team. But I think that if Charles Harris is really, if he thinks that he's a NFL prospect, and especially how people are projecting him to be a first round pick, he's got to be able to evolve quicker. It seems like where this is what, the fifth game now, I think sixth game. This is the sixth game today. We're 2-6. It seems like he's got to be able to find a way to have some sort of effect on the game. I know he accidentally elbowed the ball out. Like, I don't think that was intentional. Like when he got forced to fumble at the end of the game there, but I just think that he has to be more like we have to see him. We don't. I honestly, if you told me that Charles Harris didn't play today, I would believe you because he literally had no effect on the game. I mean, unless you want to attribute the false starts to him, but I don't think that they were because he didn't do anything. Charles Harris had literally zero effect on this game today, and I'm a Charles Harris. I like Charles Harris a lot, but from what we've seen this year, Charles Harris is not a first round pick. I'm not even sure he's a top 4 round pick. He's been literally invisible, and I know they're getting double teams and stuff like that, but you have to be able to evolve. You have to be able to play better and do better and fight through that kind of stuff if you're an NFL prospect. And so I think that it's kind of people are making excuses saying he's been double teamed. I don't think it's justified. I think he has to be better. And so I think that's one thing moving forward is going to help a lot. I've been very impressed with Marcel Frazier though. I think Marcel Frazier's probably been our most consistent and our best defensive lineman this season. So I think that basically from what I've seen personally, I think that he's been the best player, and I think that he needs to get more snaps going forward. I do like Jordan Harold, but I think that Jordan Hill probably needs another year or so to really be ready for this level. Moving up from D2. Tom, I don't want to say that any person's. I don't want to judge someone's work ethic or their character. Based. Because I don't know him personally. I don't watch him all the time. Like in practice. They let us see so much. But I think you could make a case that maybe he's given up. I don't personally know. He seems like he says he's still hungry. He says he's still locked in. He says he's still focused on this season. But I think it's hard not to look forward. When your team is struggling, it's hard not to look forward to next season, and possibly the NFL draft for him, and kind of just forget about this year. But I don't want to personally say that he's given up because I don't know him well enough. I haven't seen him in practice and stuff like that enough to be able to judge whether or not he's given up on this team. But based on the production that we've seen. He has 3.5 sacks, but a lot of that came in one game, and so a lot of that was against Georgia. So it's hard for me to really say that he's still engaged. I guess because the Charles that we saw last year was hungry. He was locked in every play. He played like it was his last. He fought like if he didn't get a sack that game, he wasn't going to eat dinner that night. That's the way he played, and now he's playing like I'm just trying to I'm just here so I can get to the draft type thing. He just kind of it feels sometimes like he's going through the motions. But I don't want to say he's given up necessarily. I think Christopher. I think if he's not able to think and play the game, then that's a bigger issue that maybe goes beyond football. I think if you're going to be an NFL athlete, you have to be able to multitask. You got to be able to think. You can't just always rush the passer. Guys, there's guys that do that in the NFL. But if you want to have a long career and make a lot of money in the league, and you're a first round draft pick, first round draft pick, second round draft pick, you have to be more than just rush the passer. And so if the fact that he has to stop and think for a second about whether if he's going to be rushing or containing and filling holes to stop the run, he can't do that, especially to this extent where he's literally being shut out and invisible for games. And that says more about maybe Charles than it does about the defensive coordinator. And maybe it says more about his future as far as going to the NFL. Susan, I'm assuming that you're talking about the punt when we were at like the 50-yard line, or about midfieldish, and I can't really explain that. I think just I don't know why they punted, but when you're down that much, you should have gone for it. If you're talking about the onside kick, then I think that was just like kind of a lapse. Like we just weren't really in the right positions as far as containing Galloway. He got the ball and just had a straightforward shot. But I can't really explain either one of those. But there's a lot of mind-boggling plays. But I think overall, the defense and the special teams were pretty good today. As usual, it seems like Corey Fatoni has been the MVP of this team, and that for better or for worse. I'm not sure that's a good thing or bad thing. I'm leaning towards bad thing, but at the same time, he has been playing well. So that's a good thing. Moving forward, at least we have a kicker or a punter, that can get us get us switch good field position for us, I guess. So if you guys want to send in a few more questions, we can kind of talk about that. Kind of going back to how we were speaking about Mizzou playing this critical next 4-game stretch. Before kind of going into the Florida game, I thought we had a really good chance of sweeping those 4 games, but now I'm not so sure. Vandy beating Georgia as well as the way we've played so far. That really has me kind of second guessing whether Mizzou can pull that off. I think Middle Tennessee is not a gimme. Those guys, they can score a lot of points. They have a solid team. Like they're not obviously not SEC level, but they are a good team. And so, looking forward, it's going to be difficult, I think, for Mizzou to. There's no games left on the schedule that Mizzou can just say is a gimme, that they can just walk into a win like they did against Eastern Michigan and Delaware State. So I think that right now they have to be locked in. I think if Mizzou plays at their best, they can definitely beat Middle Tennessee. That's a beatable team. But then moving forward, it doesn't really get much easier. We still have South Carolina, Vanderbilt. We also have to play Kentucky. So in this, I believe the order is Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and then South Carolina. And those are all tough games. Like I don't really know if we can win those. I don't know if we can beat South Carolina. South Carolina has shown the ability to stop people, and their offense has been good enough to score against better defenses, like good solid defenses in the SEC, and we haven't. We scored 7 points, and then we had for the 14, I guess today. But LSU's a great defense. We only scored 7 points. We went up against Florida today. We got 14. So it was tough. I guess we did score 27 against Georgia, but we see what Georgia is now. Georgia is not who we thought they were. They're 2-3 in conference play. They look like they may have maybe overrated out the Georgia that we're used to. So I think that we just have to find a way to. Find a way to lock in. This team is not where they need to be right now. This offense is not where it needs to be. I think the defense is heading in the right direction. I thought we did a lot of good things, forcing a lot of turnovers. John Gibson, I've been really hard on him this season. He really showed out today. He had 2 picks. He really played well. And then also, Arion Penton. I'm a big Arion Penton guy. I've been real big on his bandwagon, I guess. He had another pick. I know he got beat on the one play, but overall he played really well. We didn't lose really based on the passing game. Del Rio had an okay game. He went 18 for 38 for 236 yards. But, he didn't really beat us. It was just kind of we beat ourselves on the offensive, and that just really put the defense in a bad situation. They ran pretty well as far as on the ground. Perrine and Scarlett both had over 100 yards. Both Perrine averaged 9.6, and then Scarlett had 8.4, and then Thompson 10 carries, 65 yards. He averaged 6.5 carries. So that really killed us. The run game is still, we're still working on defending that, but there were some big runs at the end of the game, like I said, when kind of the defense had kind of gotten tired there. I'm not really sure, like Christopher, I kind of talked about earlier, I'm not really sure what's going on with Jamon Moore. It seems like he's kind of been invisible. He's kind of disappeared. He's not the locked in guy who's cheering up the troops and trying to make plays happen. Now he seems like he's kind of going through the motions a little bit as well. That kind of I know it's hard to play when you're not winning. When you're going out and scoring 7 points and going 3 and out for the majority of the game. I know it's tough to stay engaged, but you have to do that. That's what this team needs from him. If he's the number 1 receiver that he says he is, and that he thinks he is, and that his talent shows that he can be, he has to be able to find the mental fortitude to stay locked into these games and win and help us win games. It's not even necessarily if we would have just lost to LSU in Florida. I don't think anyone in the Mizzou, like the supporting the fans, anyone would be surprised. Those teams are better than us. But the way that we lost is the problem, and we're seeing the attitude from these players, and that's not what you want to see. You need to see Jamon Moore stay engaged, keep trying. We're not seeing that right now. So I think it's really tough to watch. It's tough to see guys not staying engaged, and that's why I think we're seeing more younger guys get more time in, more touches. I think Barry Odom is going to put in guys that he sees that want to win, that want to compete. And that's why we're seeing, the Cale Garrett's and, Ronell Perkins. We're seeing guys that we aren't used to seeing on the field get more playing time because if the guys that are, that have been here, that have been cemented in their spots and have been doing their thing, don't want to go out and compete, he's going to find someone that will. And so I like that. That's one thing I will say about Barry Odom that I enjoy is that, the future, the younger players, he's gonna put those guys in because it seems like the other guys don't want to compete anymore, and I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, thanks Tom, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was 19 points. The defense let up. So if you look at it that way, 19-14. Obviously we don't know that Xanders gets that score at the end if the score had stayed close like that. But the fact of the matter is that we beat ourselves. We gave up the touchdown at the end of the onside kick, which is hey, for what we know, whatever you look at it how you want to. But then the 2 pick sixes, those killed us. We can't do that. I think, Jim, conference change is not realistic. I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to go that far. Like I think that's being a little dramatic and kind of that's a hot take. You know, it's kind of just it's just doing too much. Like there's no reason to think that we have to change conference. We can compete in this conference. We've done it before. Like it's not like we've been I don't know 2-10 or 5-7 or 4-8 our whole time in here. You know, we went 5-7 the first year, 12-2 the second year. Then we went was it 11-3 the year after that, and then last year we were 5-7, and then this year we're 2-4. So I mean, obviously, you know, there's some growing pains. We're not Alabama. We're not going to be able to constantly churn out great teams, but we can, you know, we can build up this team. And you know, the SEC has been great for Missouri overall. You look at the way that Missouri's progressed. Look at the stadium upgrades. Look at those things. And I think being the SEC is fine. It's going to take time. You know, people thought I think they had unrealistic expectations that Missouri's going to just come in and just dominate. And that's not how it is. That's not how this works. It's going to take time to build those pipelines into the Southeastern Conference region and to get those top tier players. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. I think that Mizzou has the ability to be great, though. You know, they have the right coach. I think Big Barry Odom has the right mindset. I think he's doing the right things, and he wants this program, and he's going to do everything it takes to get this program in the right direction. But the fans have to be patient. You know, the fans need to show up to the games. Those are things that help out young teams. When you're playing at home, you need that big, loud, ruckus crowd behind you. It's tough, you know, when you don't have much cheering behind you, too. Those are things that the fans have to take into account. You know, I mean, it's a young team. We're still building, and you know, it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think I've always said that Drew Lock's senior year would be the year that we were ready to compete again for an SEC championship. I thought this year we could get about 8 wins, and obviously that looks like that's going to be a stretch. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to win out basically to get that. But I think that, you know, in 2 years, that's when we can really make our move based on the talent and the things that we have. You know, Cam Hilton will be a senior. We have a lot of really good players that are like, you know, in that sophomore area range. And we need some freshmen. You know, look at Croc as a freshman. So I think in that senior year of Drew Lock, and I guess it'd be 2018. I think that's the year that we should really look to start to be competing and win the SEC East. You know, next year should be another step in the right direction. But you know, I think we'll just kind of see how it goes from there. I wouldn't say that we need to. I don't think he needs to change his recruiting strategy. I think he's recruiting the right guys. It's tough to get guys come to Missouri because Missouri isn't the powerhouse. You know, the big name guys, they want to go to either the powerhouse teams or the flashy teams, the teams that, you know, have the great facilities and the great jerseys and stuff. But we don't have that yet. But I think we will get there. You know, you look at Barry Odom. He's done a lot of cool things with the jerseys and stuff like that. I think those are things that are going to help Missouri go and, you know, make those strides. You know, I think people don't realize, but, you know, the things that attract the young players are, you know, the swag and stuff like that. So like us wearing the all whites against West Virginia and playing, you know, the golds against Georgia. Those are things that catch people's eye. Like, oh man, that looks fresh. And, you know, but we just need to be a little more competitive. Once we, you know, we can keep these games close, we can get some wins against these bottom tier SEC East teams. I think that the recruits will come. It's just gonna take time. You know, Rome wasn't built overnight. You know, and it's gonna take a little bit of time. It's gonna take longer than we thought maybe. We still need to figure out a couple things that we thought we had figured out, and I think that moving forward, in order for us to be able to win and have a great program, it's going to take some patience. Like, you know, you can't jump ship on this team yet because I think they will be good, but you have to give it a little time, you know. I thought John Gibson played really well, DeAndre. I've been hard on him. I've always said, you know, if you're down or you need to get a score, just throw it deep to whoever John Gibson's guarding, and, you know, either he's going to get beat or he's going to get pass interference. And I think he's kind of made me kind of shut my mouth a little bit. I thought he played really well last week against LSU. Then he followed that up this week with another good performance against Florida. He had the 2 picks that really, unfortunately, you know, they didn't really lead to points for us, but they were instrumental in helping us play well. I think actually I'll take that back. The second one was but I think, you know, he did some things today that really surprised me. He was able to cover really well. And, you know, just moving forward, I think John Gibson is kind of coming into his own in a way that I didn't expect him to. So I am happy about that. I would, I'm not sure that I would go that far, William. I think the coaching staff is fine. I don't think you need to panic. I mean, I think that maybe sometimes Coach Heupel does make some questionable moves and things that I wouldn't necessarily do as far as play calling and, you know, continuing with the things we're doing. But if you really look at this team, we don't have the ability to play slow, and I think that's what people aren't understanding. If you look at this team, when we have to drop back and pass, we can't protect. So if we're playing slow, that's literally just giving the defense more and more opportunities to get in the backfield. So I can understand why we continue to play fast, because that gives us the best opportunity to catch them off guard. And that's what we have to do based on the talent that we have. We don't have the ability, the team, the experience, especially on the line, to go out and block and just go manhandle teams. We're not that team. You have to you guys have to realize that. That's the biggest thing moving forward that we have to realize. This team cannot go and line up against the Floridas and LSU's and just battle with those guys. We got to play fast. We got to try to get them tired and catch them off guard. And that's kind of what's, for better or worse, that's what's going to be the recipe for the rest of the season for Missouri. We don't have the athletes to do the things that a lot of people want to see us do, the things that make you successful in the SEC. And the best opportunity for us is to run the hurry up. And I mean, right now it's not working because we haven't been able to get those first downs. And Drew Lock seems to be off his rhythm. He's throwing a lot of weird, off target passes and panicking and getting happy feet. But I think that it's gotta, it's just gotta, you gotta give it time. You gotta give Odom more time to get this thing right. And I think that'll kind of be just moving forward. Tom, I wouldn't, I don't know if I don't want to make excuses for Drew Lock and say that last year took the beating that he's kind of took a toll on him. I think because if you've seen him against other teams and he's looked okay. He looked fine against Georgia. He looked fine against Eastern Michigan. He just especially Georgia the first half he looked amazing. It looked like he was a low key dark horse for the Heisman. And in the second half he got greedy. I think is part of it, but I think another is just I think he thinks he's a little bit better than he is. And don't get me wrong, I think Drew Lock is an excellent quarterback. But he was forcing into coverage and doing things that we didn't need him to do against Georgia. He was doing it, and I think that's part of the issue. I think Drew Lock is he depends a little bit too much on what he believes he can do, and he kind of has that. He goes back to his high school mentality from time to time instead of just taking what the defense gives him. I think he doesn't go through his reads all the time. I think he locks on guys, but he has the arm talent to be great. But he has to figure out the mental aspects of it. And I don't think that has anything to do with last year. It's just mental. It's just a thing of him getting in the film room, looking at what he's doing, and then breaking it down when he's playing at game speed. He's got to realize that not every play has to be the home run. That's the biggest issue I've seen with this offense is if we don't get the home run play, then we can't score. You look at even the scoring drives we had today. We had big plays that we had a 20-plus yard play, and that ended up leading to scoring. On drives where we can't get that, we can't do anything. We can't get 6 or 7 yards here, 10, 12 yards here, and then just go on a methodical drive. You can do that being a fast offense. Oregon was able to do that. You can get the dinking and dunking kind of and get in the 5 and 10 intermediate routes and intermediate yardage, and then still be successful and score points. But right now we can't do that. If it's boom or bust for us, that's the big issue for us. We're too home run. Like our offense depends on the home run play. And that's not what we can do. We can't do that against SEC teams because we don't have the talent. We don't have the team to do that. And it seems like, even if we did have it, even if receivers were getting open, Drew Lock can't seem to hit the side of a barn right now. I don't know if it's if he's just kind of stressed out or what, because it's kind of just mounting up. He makes one bad play and then it just keeps getting worse and worse for him or what. But either way, it's not happening for him. And yeah, Tom, I already addressed the Georgia thing. We don't know how good Georgia is. Maybe they aren't very good. But I'm saying that they are going to be the equivalent to the other SEC East teams that we're going to play. Not Tennessee, but South Carolina's and Kentucky's and Vanderbilt. So I think that you can still use that game as a barometer of how good he can be. We know that he can be good. Georgia can play well. Their defense is decent. They're not terrible, but they can play well. They obviously got beat up by some good teams, in Georgia. By Tennessee and stuff like that. But they've shown the ability to play well as well. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Rudy. Since the summer, I always thought that Xanders was the best fit for this team. I'll say it again: Drew Lock is the better talent, but Xanders is the best for the team that we have here. If we're gonna be able to compete, and with the roster that we have and the holes that we have, it's got to be the mobile guy who can make things happen. We need a quarterback that they have to worry about his legs just as much as his running. And I think that if we had Xanders starting or at least getting a bigger role, that would open up things in the run game, which we saw. They had to worry about Xanders so much that Crockett and Ishwitter were able to get big runs as well. I think that just opens up things. He's elusive. He can get out of the pocket. Drew Lock he's got the deceptive speed. He can run. He can do some straight line stuff. But Xanders is the kind of playmaker guy. He's explosive. He can make things happen for us that Drew Lock just can't do. And Drew Lock has a better arm talent. That's fine. But if we can't get passes off, it doesn't matter. And right now, Drew Lock isn't accurate anyways. Drew Lock is missing guys, open guys. He's missing every guy. The only guys he seemed to be hitting today were Florida cornerbacks. And he had 2 touchdowns for them, so I guess, if you want a silver lining, I guess Drew Lock threw 2 touchdowns technically. But, I don't want to go too far and just jump and say that Drew Lock is garbage because he's not. Drew Lock is good, but for the team that we have, he's not the right fit right now. Um, I think I like the way Xanders runs the read option. I think that sometimes he keeps it a little bit more than he should. But I do like the way that he runs it a lot. I like the way that he runs kind of that read option offense. I think that it works because he's so quick and he can break tackles. He's not the biggest dude, but he's able to run dudes over and really make things happen for us. And I like that. What I've seen from Xander on the read option. I want to see that moving forward. I want to see Xander start personally. But I know that that's probably not realistic, especially after they don't want to ruin Drew's confidence because I think Drew will be the guy that gets us to where they want to go later on, down the road. But I think that right now Xanders is the guy, and I mean maybe Xanders develops and continues to be the guy, but I think Xanders needs to get way more touches, and I'll kind of leave it there because I think he can make things happen that Drew Lock just can't do right now. Drew Lock just I don't know if it's confidence, I don't know what it is, but Drew Lock just can't seem to figure things out right now, and that's huge because the defense looks like they're getting that whatever they did as far as making the adjustments to this team that really worked really well. And I think it is true that everyone's favorite player is a second string quarterback, but I think that he's shown the ability to do this. When we got a chance to see him, you look at how he played against West Virginia. He was able to get some good runs against them. He was able to move the ball somewhat, but they didn't allow him to go through the offense. They didn't allow him to throw the ball, so he became kind of a gimmick guy. And then obviously, if you become a gimmick, you're only running it, then obviously they're going to figure you out. And that's what happened against West Virginia. He didn't play against Eastern Michigan, I don't believe, and then he didn't play against Georgia, I don't think either. Actually, I think he did play. He played a little bit against Eastern Michigan, but it wasn't like anything substantial. And then he didn't play against Georgia, and then versus Delaware State, he was able to run and make some good things happen. And I thought he did some good things I'd like to see. So I think Xanders has shown enough this season in the time that he's gotten to play that he can be a vital piece of this team. Like I said, I know that they probably won't change and make him a starter, but he needs a bigger role. They have to figure out how to make that work. I know that Drew Lock doesn't like it. You can tell Drew Lock doesn't like it, and that's fine. That's what I want to see. I don't want Drew Lock to be happy with someone taking his job, but this team has to find a way to make this work because Xanders is what we need if we're gonna be successful. I think moving forward. Yeah, and I agree with you, Chris. Yeah, once things go down, once the boat starts leaking, Drew Lock just goes right back to his high school ways. He's trying to do it all by himself and put it in places that he shouldn't be, make plays that he shouldn't try to make, and so that's just kind of the way it is. If you guys have a couple more questions, I'll answer a few more and then kind of wrap it up. But yeah, I think moving forward, Drew Lock's lease, it needs to be really short. Like it needs to be right. If he makes too many, a couple bad series, he's probably got to take him out and give Xanders some good run there. I don't know. I don't know how much longer Mizzou can continue to kind of let Drew Lock just figure this out on the go. Obviously, because he's not figuring it out. It seems like if you look at his last three SEC games, his last 10 quarters, I guess. The second half of Georgia and then LSU and Florida, he's been awful. He's literally been awful. He had 3 picks in the second half versus Georgia. He had 1 pick last week, and then he had 2 pick sixes this week. So I mean, you look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. And then you can say the eye test. You look at the eye test, and they don't lie either. He's been awful the last 10 quarters against SEC teams, and I think that you gotta at least consider it hard, like very hard. Consider sit down, think about this, and decide whether you want to spare his feelings and look at the future, Drew Lock and say we don't want to break his confidence, or do you want to say I'm trying to win games? I don't care about feelings of players. You know what I'm saying? Because what if you put in Xanders and he goes out and leads us to 6-6 or 7-5, whatever, and we end up moving forward. He looks like he ends up being the guy. You don't know, so I think you need to get him more time in there, and just let him do what he does, and I think he can make things happen for us. I think the offensive line isn't terrible. It's just they're young. They're gonna be really good in like a year or two. But right now they're really young and they can't do the things that they need to do as far as a conventional offense is concerned. That's why we have to do the things we do. And so I think that with the quarterback thing, it kind of ties with the offensive line. Our offensive line can't block the best. So that's why Xanders is another better option because he can get out of the pocket. He can make things happen when things break down. We saw that at the end of the game even. Like when they last play of the game, he was able to break out and he had a foot race. I think he beats that guy out. If he didn't, I mean, he threw it away, but I mean, I think he could have, and that's another situation. He could have beat that guy out and got some positive yards there. Drew Lock can't do that. Drew Lock has good straight line speed, but he's not able to be elusive and make plays. So I'll kind of ended on that note. I think moving forward, just Mizzou's got to figure things out on offense. The defense looks like it's improving. Sanders shows some things that really got me excited. I know, and I hope that we can get to see him more often moving forward. I think there's no reason to jump off ship with Barry Odom and his coaches. I think that they're doing a good job. And I think that moving forward, this will be a good program. It's just right now we're not where we thought we would be. When we watched them play Eastern Michigan and Delaware State and even Georgia, we saw that we were a little bit more ahead of schedule than we are, and we have to be realistic and kind of believe in the system. No, Xanders he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's got 2 more years if he'd like to be here. But thanks guys for watching. I'll be back next week. Big game. See, hopefully Missouri can pull off a big win against Middle Tennessee. Thanks, guys.